Yo, so I recently managed to get another one off my 2019 watch list. And this was another one that was similar to why I got into Prison Break. I originally got into Prison Break because of the roles of Wentworth Miller and Dominic Purcell, who I loved in the Arrowverse. And my latest one off my list worked very much the same. The first season of Bones. This one was because of David Boreanaz, who I personally. This was when I was kind of deep in my Buffy phase. I looked up kind of other roles the actors had had. And when I saw that David Boreanaz did a show called Bones, I was kind of intrigued by it. So I put it on my Christmas wish list. I got it for Christmas last year. I slotted it in, and after a little while, I did grow to love the show. For those who don't know, a short summary of it: you've got an anthropologist played by Emily Deschanel named Temperance Brennan. She's kind of most of the time she's had stuff that's happened to her past. She's had a bit of a troubled past, and it's most of the time she tries to keep herself kind of locked off and kind of private. But then she uses her abilities of anthropology in order to help solve homicides alongside FBI agent Celie Booth, played by Boreanaz. The two of them have some legitimately good chemistry together, and they do work off each other fairly well. I mean, there is kind of a little bit of tension, but then they also kind of have their moments of camaraderie, but then also have minutes of seething kind of yeah together. But they don't just have to solve it alone though. They also have a kind of good team together working at the Jeffersonian in order to help them solve the homicides. And yeah, their team kind of consists of a forensic artist played by Michaela Conlin, a Brennan's assistant, played by Eric Milligan, an entomologist, played by TJ Tyne, and the director, played by Jonathan Adams. And what works well is that each of the characters have a clearly defined personality, and they all work well with each other. Deschanel, for example, is the kind of closed-off person who's had stuff happen to her but kind of wants to keep it private. Boreanaz is the kind of bitter, tough military guy who's had stuff happen in his past and really is kind of on a path of redemption. Michaela Conlin is kind of like the overeager friend, the best friend who's kind of always cheery and always trying to find the best possible outlook for things. Eric Milligan is he's kind of humorously naive. I mean, he's sweet and he's not at all dumb. He's probably one of the smartest people in the room, but then he is also blissfully naive at most things. Kind of like a Sheldon Cooper character. TJ Tyne is the funny one, often making jokes and trying to be humorous in quite dodgy situations. And Jonathan Adam, he's stern, but he also has his soft side, and he is legitimately trying to listen to what everyone has to say, even if he doesn't entirely agree with it all the time. So this is a good cast. They work well off each other, especially for the first season. As I said, it took me a few episodes to get into this one, but a few episodes that I would recommend. The episode where I admit I was fully into the show was episode 9, The Man in the Fallout Shelter. The rest of the time throughout the first few episodes, I was still testing the waters, seeing if this was a show I'd like to get into. But by the end of this one, which is essentially a Christmas special, I felt like it was a show I could definitely get into. The Man in the Fallout Shelter essentially follows a team who, after an accident in the lab involving them possibly introducing an airborne fungus due to cutting bones, they essentially have to stay in the Jeffersonian over Christmas and miss times when they would have either gone out, had time with their families, or just had their time. Which, yes, my favourite episode of all of them, I would probably say, is episode 12, The Superhero in the Alley, which had some themes that I liked, in which Deschanel and Boreanaz are trying to investigate the murder of a comic writer. A comic writer and what's the word? Costumist, cosplayer. A comic book artist, comic book writer and cosplayer, who was seemingly killed after trying to emulate a heroic act. Which they go into some quite dark stuff here, but I do like the themes of it. Other episodes that I think do work well, one of my personal favourite moments comes in episode 15, Two Bodies in a Lab, which also has an appearance from another Buffyverse actor, Adam Baldwin, who, if you know who Boreanaz is, kind of from the Whedonverse with Angel, you also get Adam Baldwin in there, who known for playing Jane Cobb and Hamilton in Angel. So yeah, he also shows up, and also, spoiler alert, turns out to be kind of one of the murderers, kind of looking to kill Brennan. Which, yeah, I do particularly like that particular episode because kind of it shows how close Brennan and Booth are becoming. They have each other's backs. They think of each other as good friends. And then, just at the end of the episode, when she says, "Well, I probably should get out for my date," and he was like, "Yeah, I'll be fine. I'll be here watching TV." And then she just goes out of the room, then comes back in and said, "Yeah, it's had to cancel. What are you watching?" I just love that. I love that kind of relationship where they're like, "Yeah, you're in pain. I'm gonna sit here until it's better." I personally love that. But there are also episodes in here that I feel kind of work well with the other characters. For example, Conlin has a particularly good episode 17 in The Skull in the Desert, when she essentially has to deal with the fact that her boyfriend has been murdered out in the desert. And Deschanel and Boreanaz are trying to find out what happened, while she's essentially trying to keep it together and just wants to know the truth. Which I feel is a good road for her. There's also the man with the bone, episode 18, which I feel kind of does focus a bit more on T.J. Tynes' character, and kind of shows that he has his kind of fun sides. They're on a case that involves pirates. I mean, he's just having a ball with it. Conlin also has another good episode with episode 20, The Graft and the Girl, where they essentially, the person isn't dead yet. I mean, she's got cancer, and then when they find out that her graft, she had a bone graft a few years ago, and it might have been done using a cancerous bone. They're trying to find out who is responsible for having approved it, and I do feel that Conlin does well. I mean, at the end when she recreates the Louvre in VR for the kind of girl who's going to die. I mean, that for me was just beautiful, and I loved it. But I think, as I said, while the rest of the cast all have kind of good episodes or episodes that focus on them, the two that I think kind of focus most on kind of Boreanaz and Deschanel's character, and shows them particularly well, is the last two episodes, The Soldier on the Grave and The Woman in Limbo. Soldier on the Grave kind of delves... It works particularly well with Boreanaz, kind of his character going into his military past and having to deal with the death of a soldier, and his kind of attitude towards it. Even though Deschanel says, "Come on, let's just get on with it," he's like, "No, have a little respect." I mean, I feel that works particularly well with his character. And the final episode, where kind of Deschanel has to face her past, and that accept the fact that her parents weren't always the best, and her brother was probably better than she was giving him credit for. I grew to love this series. I feel it was one that I had reservations about early on, but then once I overcame those reservations, I absolutely fell in love with this series. I finished season 1, I hope to get season 2 soon, but I absolutely love this. I advise it, if you can get your hands on the first season of Bones, I recommend checking it out. It's a brilliant series, brilliant show. And it ran for 12 seasons, so I got a lot of binging to do. But yeah, first season of Bones, I admit, it's pretty good. Yeah, I'd say it's a series I would recommend. Anyway, until next time, see you.